So what possible is the parliament strategy there for the Congress party? India Today now has all the inside track on the Congress party's parliament strategy group at 4:30 p.m. Discussion, we are being told, will be on inflation, Kashmir, fuel prices, COVID management will be on agenda. And Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary will likely stay as leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha for now. So we have a lot of issues on agenda as well. It will likely and interestingly may not there be a discussion on Punjab, and this, remember, in the background of Gandhi's and Prashant Kishore. Anand Patel with all that inside details. Anand, very interesting that there are some issues specifically on agenda. Why do you think for now that the discussion wouldn't focus as much on Punjab or Prashant Kishore, but more about Kashmir, fuel prices, COVID management to corner the government?
Well, Pooja, this is a parliamentary strategy group which means ahead of the parliament session.
Yes.
So this meeting will have all the leaders of the House's deputy leader, the whips from both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, chaired by the Congress president. And this group will strategize as to what will be the focus for the Congress party in both the houses. So we are picking up from our sources in the Congress party is that the focus will be on inflation, fuel price rise, and Kashmir, and also Rafale will be a big focus for the Congress party and its MPs when the session begins on the 19th of this month. So clearly the Congress party is very clear on what its agenda will be. Also, what we are picking up is contrary to what the speculation was that the party might change its leader of or the LOP in Lok Sabha, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, might make way for a new leader. Picking up is that this plan is still, though, in discussion, but a decision may not take place for this session. It might be that it will happen in the next sessions, but this session's time is very less. The session is beginning on 19th, so not much time to change the leader of the House. This is what we are being told.
All right, so the opposition all set to corner the government on inflation. Petrol, remember, is now over 100 rupees. Inflation of other goods and services as well. And the opposition, the Congress, will ensure that not Prashant Kishore, not Punjab, but these issues will be used to corner the government in the parliament. There is, meanwhile, a big buzz in political circles that over Prashant Kishore's recent meetings with opposition netas. Sources now reveal that the poll strategist is likely lobbying for NCP chief Sharad Pawar as the next president, whom he has met thrice after the Bengal elections. India Today learns that Prashant Kishore has already met Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin recently, although it was not officially reported. Sources say that as per Kishore's calculation, the electoral college numbers would be in favor of the opposition candidate as the president, if especially Naveen Patnaik comes on their side. Prashant Kishore's meeting with Rahul and Priyanka Gandhi yesterday, remember, is now being seen as a possible icebreaker. In the meeting that lasted for a little over an hour, Kishore is learned to have given a detailed presentation about improving the Congress prospects in upcoming elections. Sources say no discussion was held on Punjab, however, during the meeting, and the internal rift specifically with regard to Punjab. But as per Prashant Kishore's calculations, a united opposition can upset the BJP game plan and prove a game changer for opposition ahead of 2024 general elections.
सत्ताधारी पार्टी से ज़्यादा बड़े बड़े दिग्गज विरोधी पार्टी में बैठे हैं। हर स्टेट में एक एक बादशाह बैठा है, हर स्टेट का बादशाह है। ममता जी है वहाँ, शरद पवार साहब है, चंद्रा बाबू है, लालू यादव जी है, अखिलेश जी है। ये तो अपने राज्य में बड़े बड़े नेता हैं और अपनी उनकी ज़मीन पर मजबूती से खड़े हैं। अब ये सब एक साथ आना बहुत मुश्किल था और है आज भी, और आने के बाद नेता कौन, ये पहले तय होना चाहिए। आज मोदी जी के सामने अगर आपको लड़ना है तो एक चेहरा चाहिए। संगठन है सबका नीचे, बीजेपी से भी ज़्यादा मजबूत संगठन है हमारा सबका।
प्रशांत किशोर जी किसी से भी मिलने, मैं क्या कहूँ, ये तो उनका खैर अपना पर्सनल डिसीजन है, लेकिन मैं ये ज़रूर पूछना चाहूँगी कि राहुल गांधी जी किससे मिल रहे हैं। जून माह के अंदर 3-4 दिन कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह जी चक्कर लगा के वापस चले गए, हाईकमान उनसे नहीं मिला। वहीं पे सिद्धू जी गए टीवी पे कह देना मैं तो नहीं मिल रहा सिद्धू जी से और अगले दिन मिल लेना, ये राहुल गांधी जी की यही नीति रही है। खैर उनका अंदरूनी कलह है, लेकिन हमने खास देखा है कि अगर कोई भी अपने बलबूते पे अपने दम पे कांग्रेस में मेहनत करके आगे बढ़ता है तो वो G23 का सदस्य हो जाता है।
जब लोगों का अपने पार्टी पे, अपने पार्टी के नेताओं पर विश्वास ख़त्म हो जाता है तो इसी तरह से किराए के रणनीतिकारों की तलाश चलती है। अब चलने दीजिए, अच्छे अच्छे रणनीतिकार इनको ढूंढेंगे, इनको जानकारी देंगे, उसके बाद क्या हश्र हुआ है देखा है आपने। जब तक ये पार्टी परिवार के घोंसले से बाहर नहीं निकलेगी तब तक वो कितने भी रणनीतिकार और कितने भी जो है वो इकट्ठा करते रहे, उससे कुछ नहीं होने वाला।
सुखद संकेत है कि सबने चुनावी रणनीतिकार के रूप में प्रशांत किशोर का लोहा माना था और पश्चिम बंगाल का चुनाव वो प्रमाणित कर दिया, चूँकि उन्होंने चुनाव परिणाम से पहले जो परिणाम के फल आने वाले थे बताया था, अक्षरशः वही हुआ। तो ऐसे रणनीतिकार अगर कांग्रेस से जुड़ते हैं तो आने वाले समय में कांग्रेस के लिए सुखद संकेत है।
I want to now go across to my colleague Chaitun Narula so you can help understand what is Prashant Kishore's journey really as a political strategist through the years and why it is crucial with these meetings with the opposition netas. Chaiti, over to you.
So the master strategist Prashant Kishore back in the news. Let's take a look at what his track record has been so far. He's a political strategist. 2012, he strategized for the Gujarat poll with getting a BJP a thumping win. In 2014, again, the NDA won the Lok Sabha polls in the year 2014. In 2015, for the Bihar polls, JDU ended up winning. Congress UP Assembly polls, the Congress ended up losing in 2016. In 2017, he strategized for the Congress party, and you saw the Congress party winning right there in the Punjab polls as well. In 2019, Jagan Mohan Reddy had won in the polls in Andhra Pradesh, and that was strategized by Prashant Kishore again. In the year 2020, he strategized for Arvind Kejriwal, and you do know that the Aam Aadmi Party did end up winning the elections right there. TMC, this was one big victory for Prashant Kishore and the TMC, both defeating the BJP in 2021 with the TMC winning, and Prashant Kishore, as you already know, was the chief strategist for the TMC. DMK won in Tamil Nadu polls in the year 2021, that is this year itself, and now perhaps Amrinder Singh in the 2022 polls. We don't know what the result is, but we'll wait and watch to see that one. But that is the track record of Prashant Kishore as a political strategist.
And my colleague Mausami Singh with the latest on that. Mausami, who all has Prashant Kishore met till now, considering he's been a poll strategist for so many parties already? And also, why possibly could NCP Sharad Pawar be as the candidate for the next president? Why do you think that strategy is coming about? Over to you, Mausami.
See, Pooja, if you look at the timeline, it's a very interesting sequence of events because post Bengal elections with that thumping victory, Prashant Kishore actually came to Delhi, and at that point of time, there were 3 meetings with Sharad Pawar, which Prashant Kishore said were just courtesy meetings. But there is no smoke without fire, and speculation is rife that Prashant Kishore is trying to unite the opposition front as far as cornering the BJP is concerned, and the next year the presidential elections are on his cards as far as uniting that force is concerned. But apparently Sharad Pawar did tell Prashant Kishore that it is very crucial to get the Congress party on board, because that being a national party with its presence in most of the states will be a very, very crucial factor. And on that count, there has been a lot, a freeze of relationship as far as Prashant Kishore and the Gandhis are concerned ever since the poll debacle of Uttar Pradesh. And that's one reason, yesterday's meeting was an icebreaker. Now, moving forward, Prashant Kishore has a very good rapport with Stalin, with Arvind Kejriwal, with Jagan Reddy. He has been working with the state governments in tandem, and that's that's one reason that, you know, he could perhaps be that strategist that could get these various opposition parties with divergent views, divergent backgrounds, and many times they're at loggerheads in one state. So he could perhaps be that glue that could bind all these parties and also get the Congress to pull along, so that there is a trailer before the 2024 showdown in next year during the presidential election. And if they can score that point, it will be a dent the morale of the BJP. That is what strategist Prashant Kishore would be looking at.
Very interesting, Mosmi. Thank you. So could Prashant Kishore be the one to finally unite all the opposition parties who are basically busy fighting among themselves rather than unitedly take on the BJP at the centre? Mosmi, thank you very much for now. In the state of Punjab, which is all set for elections, Navjot Singh Sidhu continues to bowl googlies at the Punjab Congress and even Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh. Sidhu decided to heap praises on the Aam Aadmi Party, of course taking a sarcastic jibe as well. But Arvind Kejriwal did reciprocate to Sidhu with a pat on the back. And amid all this, one thing is certain, there is still no truce in Sidhu versus Captain battle. Take a look.
Starting with a cryptic tweet, Sidhu took an apparent dig at his own party, the Congress, expressing his admiration for the Aam Aadmi Party. Sidhu tweeted, "Our opposition AAP has always recognized my vision and work for Punjab, be it before 2017, sacrilege, drugs, farmers' issues, corruption and power crisis faced by the people of Punjab, raised by me." This tweet further fueled speculation that all isn't well in the Congress party. The feud between Sidhu and Chief Minister Amrinder Singh seems unresolved.
सिस्टम ने एक फट्टी ला थी मेरे ऑफिस में बाहर, मिनिस्टर फॉर रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी एंड पावर। मैं कहता सिस्टम, आई सेड नो, मैं कहता सिस्टम which has rejected all my proposals for the welfare of the people of Punjab, I will reject that system. I said no.
And the tweet dropped just a few days after Sidhu had a high-profile meeting with Priyanka Gandhi Vadra of the Congress. Sidhu's tweet in praise of AAP convener Arvind Kejriwal has also opened up the possibility of him joining the Aam Aadmi Party if the truce brokered by the Gandhis has failed to hold. Crucially, the Aam Aadmi Party chief chose to reciprocate to Sidhu with a pat on his back.
मुझे बहुत खुशी होती है आज आम आदमी पार्टी इतना अच्छा काम कर रही है कि हमारे विपक्षी पार्टियां भी हमारी तारीफ करती हैं, विपक्षी नेता भी हमारी तारीफ करते हैं. So one feels encouraged about it.
Essentially, Sidhu's tweet is a signal to the Gandhi High Command that the volatile politician has options if push comes to shove. Sidhu didn't stop at praising AAP. He posted another cryptic tweet, however. Sidhu said that the opposition dares to question me, yet they cannot escape my pro-people agenda. This means they have resigned to their fate. A tweet that sounded like tempering of his earlier tweet and an attempt at a little bit of damage control, all in an effort to queer the political pitch over what his real intentions are. One thing is evident, Sidhu is keeping his options open. On the one hand, he's sending out a warning signal to the Congress High Command to get the truce implemented in his way. On the other hand, he's obviously keeping the Aam Aadmi Party also hopeful of admitting him. With Satyendra Chauhan in Chandigarh, Bureau Report, India Today.
A massive IED blast has rocked northern Pakistan and several casualties are feared. The target was a bus carrying Chinese engineers and Pakistani soldiers. 8 deaths have been reported so far, but it appears that the fatality count could go up. 4 Chinese engineers have also succumbed in the blast and several others injured in this attack. The bus was carrying Chinese engineers working on the Dasu Dam. There were 30 engineers and workers on this bus. Chinese engineers have been helping Pakistan, remember, with the construction of the Dasu Dam along the Indus River in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province in North Pakistan. In Jammu, meanwhile, drone threat is still a menace. A fresh drone was spotted near the international border in Arnia sector of Jammu. Alert personnel of the Border Security Force fired at the drone, after which it returned toward the Pakistan side. The BSF released a statement saying that a blinking red light was observed by our troops at about 9:52 p.m. yesterday at a height of 200 meters. And after they opened fire, it returned. The area has been now cordoned off. This is the 8th such spotting, remember, of a drone in and around Jammu area, especially the areas close to the international border, since 2 explosives-laden drones had crashed into the Air India Force station in 27 June. Meanwhile, sources are telling India today that 2 crucial meetings of the Ministry of Home Affairs have already taken place. This in a month focusing on the procurement of the anti-drone technology.
Drone activity has been once again witnessed in Jammu and Kashmir. Last night, a drone was spotted by alert BSF troops along the international border in Jammu's Arnia sector. And as soon as this drone was seen hovering over that area, the alert BSF personnel fired at the drone. But soon this drone vanished from that area. It's clear that the operator of this drone pulled it back towards the Pakistani side. After this incident, the BSF troops carried out an intense search operation in the entire area along the international border, but nothing was found. It's not clear that whether this drone had been sent by Pakistan for spying or for smuggling weapons in that area. The BSF troops are still carrying out search operations. So far, nothing has been found, but in the recent past, we have seen drone activity taking place in and around the important military stations in Jammu. In the last 2 years, we have seen that Pakistan has used drones to smuggle weapons in Jammu and Kashmir, to smuggle drugs. And this is a new modus operandi that has been used by the terrorists and Pakistan. Few weeks ago, we saw that drones were used to carry out terror attack on Jammu's Air Force Station. Now the security agencies are trying to formulate a new strategy to deal with this new threat of drones. With video journalist Neeraj Kumar, this is Sunil Bhatt reporting from Jammu for India Today.
Major controversy now in Jammu and Kashmir, that over the delimitation exercise that is currently on. Senior Bharatiya Janata Party leader and former Jammu and Kashmir Deputy Chief Minister Kavinder Gupta is raising doubts over the 2011 census with regard to the Delimitation Commission currently carrying out the exercise, remember, on the basis of the 2011 census, as since then no other census has taken place. Kavinder Gupta has said, and I quote here, 2011 census was not credible. It appears it was fudged. Population of Jammu has been deliberately shown less than Kashmir region. BJP is now suggesting, therefore, that Aadhaar card data be used as the basis for delimitation. Remember, this is coming as Jammu is alleging inequality and is demanding more seats when the constituencies are redrawn as per delimitation.
2011 को कोई भी नहीं चाहता कि इस आधार पर, क्योंकि बार बार इस प्रकार की आवाज़ें उठती हैं। उसी के कारण से डिस्क्रिमिनेशन का जो एक मामला था, जो सीटों का बढ़ना था, वो ऐसे किया गया था। अब ये डिलिमिटेशन बार बार नहीं होती है, लेकिन ये एक मौका है जिसको सही और फेयर ढंग से करें तो बेहतर यही होगा कि आधार को मान करके उसी आधार पर ये सारी चीज़ें हों, तो किसी को कोई एतराज़ नहीं होगा जिसके पर आधार होगा वोट डालेगा।
The Bharatiya Janata Party has attacked Rahul Gandhi for sharing a news article that claimed that there was an India-China clash in eastern Ladakh. Army, remember, had denied the report earlier. Amit Malviya has taken to social media site Twitter, and I quote here, "Fake story rebutted by the Indian Army was done by a retired Lieutenant Colonel with dubious antecedents, brother-in-law of the Gandhi family. It's a crony bogus story. Is it written for Rahul Gandhi to plug?" Unquote. Shiv Arun now joining us for further details on that. Shiv, it appears that the Indian Army had refuted any latest clash. Why is it now becoming a political tug of war?
It's become a big eruption now, Pooja, because the army has actually come out to formally deny in very aggressive terms a news report that appeared this morning suggesting that the Chinese had come back across the line of actual control and that there had been a clash in the Galwan Valley as well. The army has categorically in very strong terms denied this. Now, we at India Today, we are doing our independent reporting and we'll have updates later on the current status at the Ladakh friction points. But politically, it's become a huge fight between the BJP and the Congress party once again. It's quite familiar because we saw the same thing happen last year as well. This time Rahul Gandhi has basically said that, on the back of this news article, he has said that India has never been more vulnerable. And obviously the BJP has taken extremely strong exception to that. They've posted the army's rebuttal and basically attacked Rahul Gandhi and accused him of peddling fake news and said that he's compromising national security. These are pretty grave charges, but very, very familiar collision between, Rahul Gandhi on the one side and the BJP on the other. It's a complicated issue because last year, remember, India Today had led with much of the reporting that revealed the reality of what was actually happening in Ladakh. This year as well, India Today, just a few weeks ago, had reported that the Chinese have begun to harden their positions in the depth areas of the friction points in eastern Ladakh. But now, with this particular article being so categorically denied by the Indian army in this manner, it's perhaps given the BJP ammunition to attack Rahul Gandhi once again on the issue of national security. So we'll have to see where this actually goes. We are also working on our own status check on Ladakh for our viewers, which will be out in just a short while from now.
That's correct. Like the last year as well, Shivarur will be bringing you credible updates on if there is any at all clash or hardening of stand by China. But wait for those updates as well. For now, it appears that the Indian army has sent out a refusal and a rebuttal, but it's a BJP versus Congress on this issue. Thank you so much, Shiv. Now, amid the ongoing standoff already along the line of actual control, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is likely to hold a bilateral meeting with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi on the sidelines of the SCO Council of Foreign Ministers meeting in Tajikistan today. The meeting will be the second face-to-face talk, remember, between Jaishankar and Wang Yi since the standoffs began in early May last year. The two have spoken twice in February and April this year, during which they discussed the status of the line of actual control disengagement and agreed to establish a hotline for timely communication. India and China have already held, just to give you a background, 11 rounds of military-level talks to resolve the standoff. But it appears that the talks have had limited success. In February, India and China completed the disengagement in the Pangong Lake area, but headway still needs to be made in other friction areas as well.